Welcome. Byrdie here with Redbyrd Designs, and popping on to paint with you, show you how to paint a flower from a photo, and visit with you about Redbyrd Retreat, which is closing on Friday. So if you are on the fence or have questions or have been thinking about it, you have a couple days left before we shut the doors again, or shut the doors until September or October for Redbyrd Retreat. If you didn't know what Redbyrd Retreat is, just a quick little blurb about that. It's our online painting membership where I teach women how to paint in a private Facebook group where we go live. The videos are recorded so you can catch them on the replay and learn at your convenience. We do 3 videos or 3 new paintings a month. We have live Q&A. Once you join, you have access to all of our past videos, so a huge library that is always growing. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want there, and it's just a group where you are free to express yourself, free from judgment, and a community of like-minded women. And so that is Redbyrd Retreat. It's $47 a month or $470 a year. It's a membership. It's a recurring payment, so every month that will automatically be billed, and then it's no hassle cancellation. So if it's not working out for you or whatever the reason is, no problem, you can cancel anytime. So Redbyrd Designs is our main business page, and then Redbyrd Retreat falls under that. Okay, so just making sure, let me grab my phone here and double check that we are live and I have good sound. Okay. I just did a whole spiel and then checked my sound. Anyways, if you're able to hop on and join while I paint and visit with me, let me know. Say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And as always, I so appreciate your support and help by giving me some thumbs up and hearts if you like this video, and spreading the joy or sprinkling the love helps us reach out into the world a little bit further and hopefully inspire others who are looking for something to paint or learn a new technique. And so that is so much appreciated. And then, as always, say hi. Okay. So, like I said, I am going to show you a quick little tip or trick on how to paint a flower from a photo. So, let me get organized here. I've just printed this picture out, and let me just move us over to the overhead camera. Okay, so here is the image, and I got this image off of Pixabay. That's the app I talked about a couple videos ago, but there's an app that you can download, Pixabay, B-A-Y, and it's a royalty-free picture app, so you can get on there and use them to paint from, for inspiration. You can use them for all sorts of things, but I use them mostly to paint from, and so that's where I got this image. I was gonna go out and take a picture in the garden, because that's, you know, what I would love to do, but I don't have flowers quite yet, so. And then once I got the image that I wanted, I took it from the image or the website and then put it in like a Word document, and then I printed it in grayscale. And I'll talk about why I printed it in black and white in a little bit. I'm going to just move this over. The first thing that I'm going to do is just put some color down on my canvas. So I'm going to grab this burnt umber and throw some color down just to give us, to get rid of this white surface. And I mostly do this when I'm kind of developing an image or just kind of having fun. And this really just kind of gives us a starting point. One, it helps us see color a little bit better, because if you're working with a white canvas or a white paper, that color can get distorted and blown out from that white. And then it also just kind of helps remove any roadblocks. So if you're struggling with what to paint, sometimes just this process of toning the canvas can kind of stir up some creative thoughts. And as you're painting and kind of just relaxing and just doing these simple brush strokes can open the door to some new ideas. Okay, so while this dries, let's talk about this picture here. And like I said, I got this off of that app called Pixabay, and maybe I'll just open that up here. So Pixabay, it's a app, it's free. It doesn't require any login. You don't have to join any membership or anything like that. You can log in and you can join, and you can, I guess, tip the photographers and help them out that way. If you're constantly using pictures, you can do that, but it's a royalty-free database of photos, and so you simply just type in a subject or a keyword that you want to look at, and you'll see here that there are a ton of pictures. And so I just went through here and I was looking for a single flower with kind of a darker background to paint from, something a little similar that we can finish in a short amount of time. But you can pull from any of these, and then once you have that image you want, let's say it's this one, you click on it, it'll bring it up. There we go, and then you have the download button there. So then I downloaded that picture and I put it in a Word document and then printed it out in grayscale. Okay. All right, so once it's printed out, and my printer's got these funny lines in here, I don't know if you can see that, but that is not part of the picture, and I did not put those in there. That's just the way my printer is slowly running out of ink, and so it does those funky lines. So once you have this, you can kind of look at your image and find the outlines of your petals, right? So I know, let me find a pencil that is working. We can find, actually, let's just see if I have something that you guys can see. Something a little thicker. There we go. So all I'm going to do is come in and kind of just determine where my petal lines are. Kind of give them just a dark outline before I start tracing this on my surface. Okay, and then right here I'm just going to do kind of a quick little circle. I'll add those details in with the paint, so I'm not worried about outlining all of those little dots and things like that. So you can start to see those outlines a little bit darker there. Okay. I'm going to blow dry this just real quick so we can get on to the tracing part. So give me just a second. So I'm going to have my flower positioned here. I'll have it towards the top. And once I have it where I want, I'm going to put my graphite paper underneath and trace that onto my image. And so this is a quick way to start practicing and just working with petals or shapes. It helps you figure out how to break down shapes. Printing them in black and white also is a huge advantage to helping pull out those hard lines, and it's those hard lines that we want to see when, or focus on when we're trying to sketch something onto our painting. Just make sure I have everything there. Okay. If you don't have graphite paper, you can simply just flip this over, put your pencil on the side this way, and start to create your own graphite paper. So once you've got all of the line work kind of covered with pencil marks, flip it over, do the same thing, and that will then transfer your image for you. Okay, and then I have the stem that's going to come down here and go there. So the other thing I want to mention about a black and white photo is it really helps pull out where your shadows are and where your highlights are. So in this case, let's say if you didn't want to print it out and you're just kind of looking at a photo, let's see if I can move this to a black and white. Obviously this center part is really light. We've got just this little white part right here. You can kind of see that in my photo. We've got nice highlights right here. So using a photo for reference can be a little tricky when your colors are all blended together, and pulling out the outline can be a little hard. But once you print it in black and white, it really starts to pull those elements out and also help you find your shadows and highlights. Okay. So I'm going to use this bright magenta. It's probably a little more pink than I want. I might pull out a purple real quick here. Maybe use those both. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and just put my base color down. We're not concerned about creating shadows. We're not concerned about having brush strokes that can help us show the ridges or the creases in the petal. We just want to get that first coat down. And so all we're doing at this point is coloring in the lines with this first coat. Hi Mary, hi Darla, thanks for hopping on. We are just painting a flower from a photo and using our printer in a black and white setting to help us get that outline and figure out highlights and shadows. So let me try and put both these, well, maybe I can do it this way. Actually, let's go back and get out of here. So this, whoops. Get this zoomed in for you guys. There we go. So this is what we're painting, and I just took it and printed it in black and white from my printer. Okay, so one thing I like to do too is while I have this color on my brush, you'll notice that when we're taking a picture of something in a portrait mode, I guess, you start to see these flowers in the background just blur out, and they're just blurry pink blobs in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the rest of the pink that's on my brush and just put a little bit of pink out in my background. And then once I come in with the green, maybe I'll get a little bit more here. We've got some down here. When I cover up that with green, we're going to just kind of see that in a blurred sense in the background. So I'm just going to add a little bit of color there. Come down here. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to get some yellow out, and we'll work on the center of our flower. And again, this is going to be our first coat. So it's not going to look the greatest. I say it all the time, paintings are layers upon layers upon layers, and each layer is going to just add a little more detail, a little more texture, and so we have to trust the process. We have to make it through the ugly phase and keep going. Okay. So we'll let that sit. And it's kind of almost got this rounded, mounded look over here. It's a little bit oblong there. Okay, and then if you notice, there's a little bit of yellow right here. So I've got just a little bit of that yellow on my brush. I'm just going to kind of squiggle some of that out here. All right, let's grab some green. I'm going to grab a couple different greens. And we will grab one more. So I wanted to go live with you guys last night and talk to you about one of the reasons why I feel Redbyrd Retreat is so important, but we had the top 10 track meet last night and didn't get home until about 7:30, and it was chilly and kind of cold, and once I get chilled, it takes forever to warm up, and it was a little bit exhausting, so I didn't make it on last night. So I'm kind of just playing with my 3 greens here and putting this stem in. I started with the darker green, put that down, and then I just dipped my brush into this lighter green and streaked some of that into there. So I have these light parts and dark parts there. Okay. So let's come back to our petals here real quick, and we'll put our second coat on that. I'm going to introduce some of this purpley color in with this pink. I've got this really pretty purple along here, and it just comes down to this pink. So let's start by grabbing that pink. We're going to, now at this point, we do want to be aware of our brush strokes. So now my brush strokes are all going to be focusing on coming out from the center of my flower to the edge of those petals. So I start at the base and I just drag those up. And I'm only going about halfway. And then I'm going to grab some of this purple and start at the outside and drag that purple down into that wet, bright magenta and kind of blend those two in. And it's kind of a darker purple. I think I need to go a little bit lighter here. We'll just finish out with this purple, and then I might even lighten it some more. So if you've caught previous videos this week, we have been talking all about Redbyrd Retreat, and one of the first reasons that I visited with you guys about was the ability to pull back and get into that creative zone, which opens up our creative juices, and it allows us to push the day-to-day aside and heal and recharge just like a retreat would do, except for the comfort of your home. And then the second reason I visited with you guys about was to be inspired. So when we start painting, we pull back and when we pull back and are focusing our energy in that creative zone, we can be inspired and get inspired. And it's not so much just more inspired, it's not so much just inspired to paint more, which is great, yes. It's also to get inspired to look at maybe some problems that we've had, that we were stressing out about, and we get inspired with new problem solving, and it kind of just helps us detach and look at things in a different way. So it can help in that way as well. Because when we're struggling and we're worried and we're stressed about a certain thing, it's hard to look at it in a new light and figure out what to do when we're constantly in the middle of that stress and worry. And so when we paint, that goes away, that stress and worry, and then we detach ourselves and can think about it in a new way. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is just taking some of this purple, a little bit of this bright magenta, and adding a little bit of white to kind of get a light color here. And it's kind of becoming a little more dull and not kind of, it's losing its brightness here. We've got this super bright purple here. We'll see how this looks. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did with the purple. I'm just going to start at the outside and start dragging that color in. And my petals are still a little bit wet, that's okay. Having a little bit of that color blend in with what's already there kind of gives us a nice gradient effect. So we, with Redbyrd Retreat or painting or any really creative outlet that we have, you have that creative zone we get that allows us to pull back. It gives us inspiration for all aspects of life, and it also helps us to detox. There we go. It's starting to get there. Let me just make sure I can see everyone's comments here real quick. All right, let's let this dry a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of dark here underneath my center. And so I'm gonna get a little bit more pink out. And I'm going to pull some of that aside to make a darker pink, and I'm going to use green to do that. And I got way too much green. There we go. So we could use black to make a darker pink. We could use this burnt umber to make a darker pink. But if you didn't know, you can always use the opposite color of a color wheel to darken it up. So if we look at the color wheel here, we've got this kind of red violet, and opposite of that is a green color. And if you take the darkest of the green there, you can create a darker shade of that pink there. And so I'm going to just use that just right down here in the base of these petals where that center is, just to give it that shadow that we see right in here. Okay, we didn't need much. So let's talk about what that means to detox. How does painting, how does being creative, being in that creative zone help you detox? Well, everyone needs to unload or clean out and empty their mental desktop or mental overload. We've got so much going on all the time. We're thinking about what's for dinner, we're thinking about the bills that need to be paid, we're thinking about activities for the kids and all of that. And so when we have so much going on in our brains, it's hard to focus. And so when you paint and get into that creative zone, when you're done painting, you feel lighter and clearer, you're recharged and refreshed, and just have more ability to take on what's next in our lives. Darla's not been feeling well. I'm sorry. So I hope you get rest and feel better soon. Watching you paint is so relaxing for you. Thanks, Darla. It is. I love watching other people paint too. But so to detox, then after we're done painting, we're refreshed and recharged, we gain new perspective. So that inspiration that we get while painting can give us that new perspective on life. It can give us new perspective and help us become unstuck and brighten the day-to-days that we sometimes can get trapped in or stuck in. Okay. I'm going to let the petals set. Let's focus in on this little center here, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of some dark yellow. So I'm using yellow and burnt umber, and I'm going to get in underneath here where we have that shadow. And we can really see that darkness in that black and white. So again, this is a great reason to either turn your pictures to black and white to find those shadows and highlights, or print them out in a black and white. But you can see there's that darkness right under there, and I think we need to go just a little bit darker here. There we go. Okay. And then we have this really airy, bright area. So I'm going to start with white here, and I'm just going to lay some white in there. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to come in and add yellow in around it. Because if we look at the picture, it's super bright right here. And to show that, I'm going to start with white and then come in with yellow. Okay. I am going to grab a bright purple here. Let's see if I can find. This is kind of reaching a little bit. But the beauty of painting is we can make it whatever we want. Let's see if I can just lighten something up here. This is always the fun part about painting as well, is just kind of playing around with colors on your palette, finding that shade, adding white, adding different colors together to find the perfect one that you want. So I squirted out some of that light purple out, and I immediately knew that that wasn't going to work. So I'm going back to that original purple and just adding white to it. I'm going to then come in where these highlights are right here and add some highlights in here. We've got an area right here. Got a little bit of some highlights going on here and here. And if you have a hard time finding those, come back to your black and white, and that can help you find those highlights that you're looking for. And then I've got this really bright little bit right here, so I'm going to pull in a little bit of white. I've got one right here. Tip there. Okay. And now I'm going to mix my pink and my purple together. And I'm going to just kind of blend these two colors a little bit better. Okay, so we're getting there. I'm going to let this sit for a little bit because we need to do the background, and sometimes just kind of taking a break from an area that you're working on is helpful. Make sure that we don't overwork it. Okay, which I'm close to doing, so I better stop. All right, Alright, so I'm going to put my background in. You'll notice that it's just this kind of blended green background with these colors that I've already placed here. So I'm going to go between these two greens here. I'm going to load up with one and dip my brush in the other and just kind of start placing that green out. Using those two colors to get that nice blended background, and we can also add a little bit of water to water it down. I should be using my bigger brush for this. I've switched to my bigger brush so that we can get that background in a little bit more quicker, faster. And I'm also just kind of watering down the paint a little bit, just so it creates more of a wash. You kind of see some of that color peeking through a little bit, and helps just give us that blurred look. I'm going to grab just a little bit of this pink. Some of my pink got covered up. Grab a little bit of the green and just try and add a little bit of that blurred pink up in that corner there. Grab a little bit more green. Just blend those two colors right there. So if you guys are interested in joining Redbyrd Retreat, or you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have questions on how it works, or exactly what you get, or really any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Go ahead and shoot me a message. Or you can go to redbyrddesigns.com and get more information there as well. And you can also use that website to sign up. Okay, I'm going to grab just a little bit of this yellow here and see if I can pull out a little bit of some blurry yellow in this area. Maybe we add a little bit of the blur over here. Kind of can just have fun with these colors and just start blending the colors of the flowers into the background, and it just really helps make it look like there are flowers back there that are blurred out. Okay. This is just a quick little fun painting to show you how you can take a photo, print it out in black and white, use that photo to get started with the sketching process, and overcome that hurdle and get started painting. Okay. All right, we've got one more little bit I want to finish up here, and that is this center. We had laid a layer of white to give us that nice bright base, and now I'm going to come in and start just dabbing in some yellow. And I want to use that dabbing motion to show these little spots here on the top. And then if you notice, we also have a little bit of some dark areas in that center there. So I'm going to grab some of that burnt umber and start dabbing some of that in there. I'm just using a liner brush for that, or a small round, and just with the light pressure just dabbing that color in there. I'm going to take that burnt umber and just start dabbing it along the bottom as well. If you get a little heavy with the burnt umber, we can always just go back to that yellow and just cover that up and push some of that darkness to the back. I got a little too much here, so I'm going to grab some yellow. Push up to the back a little bit, lighten it up. I'm going to grab a little bit of white, dab some white in there. And we can even just kind of do little tiny brush strokes off the top here. Okay, I think that's it. So just a quick way to get started painting if sketching is a hurdle for you. Use a picture off of Pixabay. It's royalty free. You're not under any what's the word I'm looking for? There's no plagiarism or copyright, as opposed to if you just Google a picture or Google a keyword and then hit image. Some of those images, have copyright, and you really aren't supposed to use them, but Pixabay is one of those apps that you can freely use, and so I constantly am using that for inspiration. Print it out, trace it on with some graphite paper, or if you don't have graphite paper, just take the back, add some pencil marks to it, and you can then trace that right over and get your flower started. Let's see if I have any questions. Stacy Reddy's, hi. So pretty, thank you. Hi Brandy, hi Sarah. Two Sarahs, hi Sarah. And Darla, love the way the background brings out the colors in the flower. Thank you, yeah. Just blending some of the flower colors back there just kind of really ties it all together too. All right, you guys, so I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you for joining me this afternoon. I hope that that inspires you, and that trick helps you get over maybe a roadblock that you've been having when painting. And I would love to see your floral painting if you do give it a try. Just find a single flower and give that a try. You don't have to go big right away. One single flower, no bouquet, no lots of other flowers, just focus on the one, and use light and dark and that tracing technique, and I would love to see it if you guys give it a try. Remember, Redbird Retreat closes on Friday, so if you're interested in joining, make sure to head over to redbirddesigns.com. Click on the Redbird Retreat tab, and that will give you more information, and also that's the location to sign up. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will visit with you later. Bye.